Okay.
What's going on, everybody? It's Josh, aka the Muslim Muscle, coming at you with another episode of the Next Up Podcast with your boy.
Something creamy coming at you. How you doing?
Little prefacing. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties today. Not really sure why, but things are either slow feedback or whatever. So yeah, just to forewarn you in this episode of Next Up Podcast. Today is a special
But
one because
before we start, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Turn on that bell.
ding.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, there we go. We're getting good at this. Look at that. All right. Today's a special one. First and foremost, for those who don't know, these are obviously pre-recorded. They aren't live unless we do it on Instagram Live again, which that recording didn't go well. That's why that one will never see the light of day.
Yeah.
But we're always ahead. It's Super Bowl Sunday, which also means prep starts tomorrow. Prep for Universe
For
starts tomorrow
you,
for
fat boy.
myself. Yeah, I'm large. I'm spilling. I have a lot to lose. Um, but it gets us into the topic. We were kind of shooting shit. We had a special friend of the podcast, Mr. or Miss Shreddy Krueger, um, turned around and had some ideas for what we could
Mr.
talk about.
Shreddy. Jesus Christ.
Mr. Shreddy Krueger, yeah, that was like, oh well. So pretty much how this goes is like we're going to talk about GLP-1s, we're going to talk about hunger in general, and then we're going to talk about my personal favorite part of the trifecta, which is marijuana, and how it can be used in prep, how it shouldn't be used in prep, in my opinion, and overdoing it, underdoing it, if you're even doing it at all, it's not necessary, but I definitely think there's some positives to it. So we'll kick it off with realistically beginning of a prep, beginning of a diet, beginning of just a weight loss phase. You're going to experience a lot of psychological hunger. You're not going to experience a lot of physical hunger. So if you're pulling out cheat meals, so you can't turn around and go out for food, you're going to get psychologically hungry for that. It's more so you're just constantly thinking about what you can't have, as opposed to, oh, I could have everything. Then you have the fact of like you do start to lose some body weight. Your body's used to running at a little bit higher of a calorie, so you'll have the effect of like you have less volume of food, unless you kind of did the olive oil and honey approach during the off season. But we can talk about that in another podcast. I still have a lot of beliefs about that one. But if you turn around and you start to pull out some of the more voluminous foods, yeah, you're gonna look at your bowl of food and see it's a lot less food, or you're gonna look at your plate and you're gonna notice there's a lot less on it, and that's gonna psychologically psych you out. But you're not hungry. And Colin, you can share your opinion on this before I go into a rabbit hole we don't need to go down right now.
Yeah, no, you're not hungry. It's kind of what you said. It's the psychological side of things where, if you're out and about and you didn't pack a meal, you can't just go and stop somewhere and, I mean, you can, but it's the idea that, straying away from plan, and there's a lot of things where there's a bit more restriction, and that's really what it is. I think it's more psychologically exhausting is the fact that you're not supposed to be eating different foods, or you're not supposed to be not eating your meal plan. So it's just the psychological restraint that is put within, more than the actual physical hunger that really comes with dieting. Because again, if you're a weekend and you're struggling, that's you got an issue. You shouldn't be prepping.
And as we always say, we'll get them on the podcast at one point. I know somebody who did like a 7 day fast during their prep while already dieting. Like
Yeah.
it's psychological more than it is physical. At the end of the day, we can get into the biology of it. Of we store body fat as energy. Our body does not need food, but it needs energy, and caffeine is not a source of energy. Before anyone turns around and tries to get into that, energy is derived from a calorie. A calorie is a unit of measure that it takes how much energy or how much heat is needed to increase one molecule of water by 1 degree Celsius is exactly what a calorie is, large C. A kilocalorie is what we derive as calories from food. 1 kilocalorie is one. Big C, calorie. Did not mean to throw up a Crip gang sign, but you know how shit goes. Um, we'll try to ixnay that part, huh? So
Yeah, right.
realistically, when it comes down to it, the idea of you're just inputting less energy, it does not mean that you have less energy. You have fat on your body. You want to start utilizing that stored fat as energy. The only reason that we store fat is because we have excess calories on the body. Again, kilocalories there. So as you start to utilize the energy, heat, it displaces. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It just is. It just translocates. So what's on your body can be used to propel your body forward. Sorry, Newton's laws and such. Colin, take it away before I keep going down this route.
Well, the first topic we're going to get into is really the new science behind, not new. I wouldn't say, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say new. It's not new at all. But what's kind of taking full reign of the dieting sense, specifically, again, there's a lot of fitness influencers or just people in general within the fitness field who, um, take this route because, they do work. What I'm referencing to is GLP-1s. They work. They do. Personally, I think it's a absolutely amazing um creation for this world, just due to the fact that you're able to shut off your hunger signalings. People use it for the wrong reasons, but when used properly, I think they're excellent in the sake of, if you want to diet, if you want to just control your lifestyle for what it is, they are something that are groundbreaking and they do get abused, just like steroids. But for those who are doing it properly with the proper guidance, whether it's through a doctor, your physician, whatever it is, it's something where it can be utilized in many different states, but again, now it's becoming a lot more popularized within the fitness realm, within the dieting and bodybuilding scheme, because again, whether you want to get into the specific ones, there's again, consistently there's new ones coming out. They're always going to be tested. There's always going to be, again, however many agonists you want to go. For instance, semaglutide, that's your single agonist. You have tirzepatide, which is your double agonist. And then now you have what is now pronounced all over TikTok is retatrutide, which is triple agonist. Um, there's also another one that's come out called Mazatide. It was made by Eli Lilly, the same guy who made retatrutide or tirzepatide, one or the
Yeah.
other. But that's a double agonist as well. And again, this isn't something to say that, just because it's a triple agonist, it works three times better. That's not how it works. Or if it's a tirzepatide and it works two times better than semaglutide. Different drugs work for different people. And just like anything in the world, just like gear, one thing might agree with you that doesn't agree with the next person, but one thing that agrees with them doesn't agree with you. So again, it's the matter of finding what works best. Again, if it's the sake of semaglutide works better than tirzepatide for you, then or tirzepatide works better than semaglutide or retatrutide or whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of things that have to be taken into account for, and again, that's used for the wrong reasons. I was a personal trainer up in New Jersey, and all these lovely women with all the money in the world are going to their med spas. And they're going to get Ozempic because they just want to be fucking skinny. But they're drinking alcohol, they're eating one meal a day. That one meal a day contains about 20 grams of protein. Great, they're doing their personal training and their resistance training. Again, there's very minimal effort being put forth just to kind of say that they're training, they're paying their trainers thousands of dollars just to say that they're being trained by a personal trainer. And next thing you know, 6 months, 8 months, a year down the line, they're osteoporotic. Why? There's not a high protein diet. Their resistance training is dog shit. Their lifestyle sucks. They're drinking every day. They're smoking. They're doing everything that's polar opposite of what's necessary to truly have success when it comes to be using GLP-1s because they are a fantastic drug, truly groundbreaking. But if used wrong, you will do so much fucking damage to your body. It is not even funny. Sorry, that was a
Yeah.
lot.
No, that was perfect. And I am not versed on the GLP-1s, nor do I want to be versed on the GLP-1s in the terms of for myself. It's not really something that I personally struggle with when it comes to like food noise and hunger and things like that. But after doing a bit of research on it, there's so much that goes into just the science behind it, how different people react to different things is huge. I know you've even talked about, potentially wanting to have some on hand at a certain time. So, which one for you personally would you think is, and why, is the one that you would use? I'm not going to ask you dosage, don't talk about dosage,
Yeah.
but like, what would you use? What's the thing that you would use it for to battle what exactly? And like, kind of just educate me a little bit more on, the GLP-1s and I would say proper use while staying away from dosages because we're not
Yeah.
getting into that.
So, obviously, just like anything, you want to start minimal and then build up from there. Just like anything, you can build up some sort of a tolerance. I'm not going to say an intolerance, but you can build up a tolerance, on specific amounts. But personally, I would say, semaglutide is, the first of the GLPs, and it is pretty garbage, I will say. Just because it's a single agonist, it's just the fact that it's the oldest and it was the first. It was groundbreaking at the time. It is dog shit. Just because, again, there's so many advancements in technology and healthcare. Personally, I would say tirzepatide is going to be something that, I could possibly, like for instance, like I could possibly utilize it in a prep, or anybody could possibly utilize it in a prep, just because of the age and what it's been proven to do. So again, retatrutide and mazdutide are very new to the public. It's just now that there's not a lot of studies and we don't really know the long-term effects on all this stuff. So when it's all said and done, even with tirzepatide and semaglutide, you don't really know the long-term effects. Like if there are long-term effects, 70, 60 years down the line, like all of a sudden you just fucking drop dead because of this drug. We don't know that. But it's just that tirzepatide has been uh proven. It has built off of semaglutide. It has taken away all the side effects that came with, um for instance, like Ozempic, like semaglutide is. So it's been able to take away the side effects that came with Ozempic, but it's been able to crush hunger and really silence hunger hormones. So the idea that ghrelin and, um what's the other one that makes you full?
Leptin,
Leptin. So it's something where it can really crush your hunger signaling, which not necessarily is a great thing, but it can be, when used properly, it can be utilized well because it can silence the hunger noise. And it's something that not some people don't deal with, like you don't deal with hunger noise or deal with food noise. I deal with food noise a lot. It's just the idea that even when you eat, you feel like you've eaten nothing and you're just looking forward to your next meal. So you're clock watching. So if you're not busy, it's just food is consistently on your mind day in and day out. And again, I'm not saying this is for like my entire prep. This is like the last 4 weeks. It gets hard. You get hungry. It's prep. But it's something where I believe that tirzepatide is probably everyone's safest bet. Not saying I'm not a doctor. I'm not consulting, nor am I
we're
saying do
not
it.
recommending this,
No, at all.
educating.
But
This
just
is for
just
hypotheticals.
yes, just for the sake of the differences of what it is to semaglutide and the positives, but also how long it's been on the market. They've been able to work out the tweaks, they've been able to work out the kinks. And again, we don't really know the long-term effects on these drugs, but it's more so the idea that the length in which that's been exposed to the public, it's really been able to be shown that it's a much better version of what semaglutide wanted to be. But being that it was the only GLP out at that time, there's a lot of side effects that came with it due to the fact that it was the first of the GLPs. So once they saw, okay, this is what happened when whatever they put into it, they're able to again reconstruct the molecular
Molecule.
structure of, yeah, you can like restructure the molecule of the compound itself and be able to make it more agreeable with the person who's trying to take it, or really what they're trying to achieve. Because again, you also have to, which is very weird. This is also another little caveat to it. There's GLPs for, um, diabetics, and then there's GLPs for hunger signaling. It's the same fucking compound. It's just made by different people. So I believe it's Zepbound is for hunger and Manjaro is for diabetes or vice versa. I think it's vice versa.
I've definitely seen a commercial for Manjaro, so that's got to be the diabetes one.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's again, it's the same compound. It's just a matter of who can prescribe what. So again, it's Big Pharma, it's Zepbound, and it's Mounjaro are like your two pharmacy grade, quote unquote, that are out there. So it's just like Ozempic is like semaglutide. Um, I don't know if there's a second version of semaglutide, to be honest. But then again, now we have retatrutide. So again, personally, I would say tirzepatide is your best bet, just due to the fact that the longevity of what's been on the market, and also what it can do a lot better for you rather than semaglutide itself. Because again, just like anything in the world, you create the first thing, you always got to work around the kinks. You gotta be able to fix what's wrong with it, and then from there you can make something better. So again, even like in 6 months' time, there's probably gonna be something that's, a quadruple agonist. And it'd be like, okay, cool. But there's always going to be advancements. It's just a matter of finding what's going to work best for you and being able to build off of that, but building a healthy lifestyle off of that, not just relying on these drugs alone. Because that's really what it comes down to, is that just like anything, this isn't a this isn't a permanent fix. You're not going to be on Mounjaro the rest of your life. You're not going to be on tirzepatide or semaglutide the rest of your life. It's just a matter of being able to fix what you can now, wean off the drugs and fix your lifestyle. So it's the idea of being able to build your lifestyle around what's helping you get there. And then from there, you're able to um, wean off. And then from that point forward, maintain a healthy lifestyle of what you have now built around what has helped you.
100%. And I think that that circles back to the fact of you have to experience what either true hunger is or a version of true hunger to really even know if something like that is needed for you. As you kind of alluded to, personally, I don't really get a lot of hunger, a lot of food focus, food voicing, whatever you want to call it,
Food
whatever
noise.
food noise. Cool. I don't get that. It's just not something for whatever reason. Last prep, I just wasn't really hungry at all. A lot of times I'm not exactly hungry. I'm not exactly full. I kind of just ride in the middle. So for me, something like that, unless it had some version of a maybe an insulin sensitivity thing or a I mean, I obviously it does have some version of insulin sensitivity, but more so, or like IGF signaling or something of the sort. It realistically wouldn't be something that I would go to, um, and that's just because at the end of the day, like we were talking about before, true hunger almost needs to be experienced without any of those things. Because if you could deal with it, why add something in? If
Mhm.
it, if you could deal with it and it's not affecting your life, there's no point to add something in. That's just being gluttonous, for lack of a better term. You're
Yeah.
just trying to be a drug pusher at that point. You want to be a pincushion for whatever reason. So
Yeah.
I would always say something like that is just not down my alley. It's not something I've studied a lot of, but Colin obviously has. So if you have more questions, shoot him a message, annoy his ass, please.
Please don't.
Now, when it comes down to it, for me, something that I personally like to use, especially in a prep situation, is THC and marijuana. And I say that specifically because I don't want to have to answer questions on CBD. I don't consider that to be marijuana, weed. It is its own entity, in my personal opinion. Now, this is something I'm a lot more versed in than Colin is, just because state
Very true.
regulations and laws. So for me personally, almost every single day of my last prep, I used some version of marijuana, whether it was a vape or a pill or something of the sort. And I never really got food noise from it, but what it did allow for me to do was kind of just to blunt any sort of non-desire. It allowed for a singular focus at the end of the day. So when I was sitting there and it was time to go train, if I did just a little bit before I trained, I would be able to narrowly focus on the task at hand. Now, I know for a lot of people, most people, they get the munchies when it comes to smoking a little bit of weed. And I genuinely don't think that's a real thing. The reason is that even if you have that idea of like you want to munch on something, if you don't start, it won't continue. It's once you start. So the idea isn't that you are have the munchies, you need to eat something. It's more so a matter of it's just a mental willpower of knowing that you probably shouldn't, so you're not going to, and then you move forward from there. Delilah is currently licking my leg. She might be a little high. Um, she might have the munchies, but she's not high. Don't nobody call ASPCA on me.
Yeah, I was gonna
Um,
say you're fucking throwing yourself under the fucking bus
yeah,
here.
that's she's not. She just came in from the snow for whatever reason. She likes to lick things. That's how she explores. Um, yeah. So at the end of the day, I was able to singularly focus on what the task at hand was, whether it was training, whether it was coaching, whether it was, it didn't delay my thought process, it didn't delay my decision making, and it didn't add food noise. It allowed me to just focus on the one thing at hand as opposed to everything else that was going on throughout the day. If you sit there and you should wake up in the morning and you say, all right, cool, I have to train legs today. I have to get 12,000 steps. I have to train 5 clients. I have to do 20 check-ins. I have to do, and the list just keeps going on. You sit there and you effectively are going to get nothing done. If you're not singularly focused on the one thing, you can't check that box. So something I would do in the morning, if I turn around, I was starting to feel a little overwhelmed, go to 7-Eleven, go grab a coffee, get back, partake, go for a little walk. The walk normally would be like 7,000 steps. The idea was that, all right, cool, I'm very close to this one task that I have to handle right now being done. By the time I'm done training, that physical aspect is done. I just need to now get whatever meals I have left for the day. I will be sober by that point, and now train my clients and do the rest of my day. That singular focus allowed me to get a lot done throughout the day, whereas most people who do smoke are, considered as lazy. Now, there's definitely times to not use it in a prep or in a diet phase whatsoever. It's time for a refeed. It's time for a cheat meal, whatever your kind of thing is. I guarantee you, first and foremost, you're going to be hungrier the next day if you're doing it right. And second, not only will you be hungrier then, you're going to be hungrier in the moment if you're smoking. As soon as you start, it continues. If you don't start, it won't continue. So therefore, if you're sitting there and the opportunity is in front of you, I'm going out for a cheat meal. I'm going to all you could eat sushi. I'm going for a burger and fries. And you go to Five Guys. Actually, this is a perfect example. You want a large fry. You know, just like I know, if you take out the cup, that is your large fry. All those bag fries are not your large fry. That is not supposed to be in there. So you can eat them all. Shit, you can even weigh them out and make sure. That's how I would personally do it. But you you could turn around, you can eat them all just because you smoked a little weed before and you got the munchies in there in front of you. Or you could literally take that cup out, give the rest of the fries to your significant other, or throw them in the trash. That way, you don't have the ability to have the munchies. That ends that. But I would still suggest saying, like, yo, if it's there and if you neatly put that in the garbage, you're probably going back to that garbage. Just it's putting yourself in a position to succeed at the end of the day, as opposed to having the ability to fail. Actually, this is something that I wanted to talk about on here anyway for a long time. I know I've been talking for a while, but it's not about putting yourself in a position to succeed. It's actually putting yourself into a really hard position to fail. If you turn around and you want to start a diet and you live alone and you get rid of all of the shit food in your house, the candy, the cookies, the fucking little treat, anything that is not part of your diet plan that you can have around the house in bulk. If you're somebody who snacks on peanut butter, binges on peanut butter, take it out of your diet. Don't even do it. Don't have it in the house. Just for the first couple of weeks so you can build up that willpower. Not all the time, but turn around and eliminate it. Make it really hard for you to fail. If you're shorter, put something on the top shelf. If you're taller, put something on the floor. Make it harder to get to it. It does not allow you to turn around and fail like most people normally would. So That's really the long and short of it. The the downsides of marijuana during a prep would be the munchies, laziness, things like that. Make it really hard for yourself not to succeed. Make it really hard for yourself to fail. So if you turned around and you had 30 minutes cardio and you wanted to smoke before because you just don't want to mentally be there, make sure you're going in the building.
Yeah.
Don't give yourself the out. Be around about a place that it's uncomfortable for you to stay in. For me in the summer, if I wanted to do that, I'll be completely honest. I turn the heated seats on. I'll sit with the windows either slightly cracked or up all the way and sit with the heated seat on. It's really uncomfortable to stay in that position. I have to get out. I have to go. Never allow yourself to fail easily. If I was sitting there, I had the AC on, I was chilling. Yeah, at some point I might be like, screw this. I'm not doing this right now. Sober up and then I'm gonna drive home. Or, not even leave. I have cardio equipment in my basement. But I make it really hard on myself to do that. So allowing yourself to take a long, hard time to fail, you have to go out of your way to fail, makes winning a lot easier. So I just ranted. Did you have any questions?
No,
Did you want to
it's
talk
kind
about
of
your experience?
no, it was kind of going to build off of what you're saying, specifically just because again, what you said just kind of resonated with me. It's the idea that make it what was it? Make it very hard to fail. What was it? Is that what you said?
Make it, make it, put yourself in a poor position to fail. Like make
Yeah.
it hard to fail.
Yeah. So it's the idea that, if you, like you said, get rid of your treats, get rid of all that bullshit out of the house, then you have to physically go to the store, like consciously know that you're buying this and consciously know that you're going to ruin your diet for the sake of a Pop Tart or whatever the fuck you like. And again, I'm not going to sit here and be cutthroat bodybuilder, live and die by the fucking iron, brother. But it's the idea that if you're
That
prepping
Hulk
and
Hogan.
I fucking, I don't know. If you're sitting here and you want to prep, you want to look good, that's great, fantastic. You stay strict on a diet for, I don't know, 6 weeks and stay actually fucking strict. Don't be a dickhead and go, oh, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. No, like genuinely, you stay to your meal plan to a T. Get your cardio done, get your lifts done. That shit, you kind of forget what it tastes like. You really
Yeah,
do. And if you don't believe me, or if no, you don't think so, well, then you haven't dieted. Because I can promise you, 6, 7 weeks when, ab veins are pulling through, skin's really getting nice and tight, and you're like, damn. And you go to get your chicken and rice meal or your fish and rice or fish, whatever the fuck you eat. More times than not, yeah, we know what his burger tastes like, but we haven't had that dopamine spike in the last 8 weeks. And guess what? You look damn good. Looking in the mirror should be enough of a dopamine spike for you. All things considered, no one tells you to do this. And I've said this before, no one puts a gun to your fucking head and says you have to diet. No one says you have to prep. No one says you have to do anything in this world. You make these conscious decisions for yourself. If you want to diet, great. Just don't bitch about it. If you literally sit and shit about a diet, or if you sit and shit your entire prep, it's gonna be horrible. And I had to learn that the hard way. If you look at all the miserable aspects of what you're doing right now, yeah, you're gonna be miserable. But if you
mm,
take the little wins and just compile those wins day in and day out, I promise you, it just goes so much easier. It goes so much better for you. Instead of sitting down, you go for a walk. Guess what? You're expending more calories. Guess what? You could hit a new low and your coach gives you a refeed. Oh, you dropped weight on your refeed and you feel like shit the next day. Guess what? You might get another. It's the process that you have to go through. It sucks, but you chose to do it. And I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. Don't be a little bitch about it.
don't be a fucking coward.
It's and the simplest way to do it is that again, every part of the year you have a process as a bodybuilder. Nothing changes besides the amount of food. I know for Moses and myself, like when I was rebounding from my show, I would get up every morning, I'd go to the gym, I'd do my cardio, come back, eat a meal. An hour or two later, I'm in there training. From that point forward, I'm getting the rest of my work done for the day. I'm going to work, whatever the case may be. But guess what? When I prep, I'm going to get up. I'm going to go do my cardio. I'm going to come back. I'm going to eat my meal. I'm going to train. Guess what changed? Nothing but the amount of food. That is all that changed. My daily processes stay the exact same. My Sundays, I wake up early, I go do cardio, I come sit here for an hour, and I fucking rant on with Moses, and my day moves forward. And then from that point forward, from here, I'll probably go eat a meal in an hour. I'll have a coffee and I'll get about my day. Nothing changes because guess what? 16 weeks from now, when I don't know, 4 weeks out, it's gonna be the same fucking thing. I'm just gonna be a little more brain dead. That's all that
Yeah,
changes, and a lot more skinny. Nothing changes but the amount of food and the amount of caloric expenditure that you're putting forth in your day. That is it. In very, very simple terms, if you look at bodybuilding in a very general window, nothing changes but the amount of food. Your lifestyle should stay the same if you're serious about the sport. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, I'm Olympia bound. This is my dedication as of this part of my life. In 5 years, maybe not. Maybe it is. Who knows? I don't. But the matter of what you have to take in the moment, you can't just sit here and wallow in the shit because guess what? Life goes on. Shit figures itself out and everything will just keep on moving forward. Time doesn't stop for you. You have to keep moving forward. Whoa.
we're ending it on that. That was that was incredible. With that said, thank you guys for tuning in to the Next Up podcast. If anything, if worst case
I need a
scenario, all you
fucking
got was
clip of that.
yeah, if worst case scenario, all you got was the last 3, 4 minutes, that's a win. That's a win. That was a great one. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you all. Have a happy Super Bowl Sunday. This won't be out for a week or two after that, so have a happy Valentine's Day. Um, it's also Frederick Douglass
Go
Day.
birds.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But at the end of the day, for those, if this comes out before Valentine's Day, I will say this: bring in a picture of your ex, the Ultimate Gym. You get a free day pass. Boom. Peace. We're out.
Oh.